everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I am jumping back into all of the grad school stuff, and I'm going to be talking about the 10 things that surprised me the most about grad school and counseling. So let's just get right into it, I guess. The first one I have on my list is that you are going to be responsible for choosing your own theory or counseling approach. I think this surprised me because for some reason I feel like I almost automatically assumed that each program would have a certain theory or approach that they were pushing more so than others. I haven't found that that's the case in my program. You take a counseling theories course your first semester and it presents basically everything out there to you, and then it's up to you to choose what resonates with you and what you feel would benefit your clients most. So I would try to find like one foundational approach that really resonates with you and then pick and choose techniques from like maybe 2 or 3 other approaches. And honestly, over time, it's going to evolve. Even just in this year and a half I've been in the program, my approach has already kind of grown with me as I've grown as a counselor and gotten my own clients. The second thing that surprised me, and I'm not really sure why it did because it makes sense, you're technically like talking as a big part of your job. But I feel like some may be surprised of like how much more outgoing you have to be in a grad school program for counseling. I will say that when I first moved here, my freshman year of undergrad, I was painfully shy. I'm not like that at all anymore, and I think that's just come with age and practice. But I will say even in my first semester last year when I had to do presentations or like had to do mock counseling sessions in front of the class or in front of a professor and get graded on it, I was so nervous. And today I feel like it's not a huge deal to me. Yes, it can be nerve-wracking, but I think you'll just adjust to it over time. But that's something I kind of wish I thought a little more about going into the program, not because I, would have done the program if I knew about it, but it's good just to know kind of what you're getting into and kind of prepare yourself ahead of time for maybe having to be a little more outgoing than you normally are. Number 3 is something that I had thought about before, but never really had experienced it. So it's having your own personal challenges while still being a counselor. So just because you're a counselor doesn't mean your life is going to be perfect and there's not going to be hardships of your own. I unfortunately had quite a few family members pass away within a short amount of time this past year, which has been difficult just in itself, but especially when you have to jump into helping clients soon after. It can be really hard to kind of put your own stuff aside. Don't feel ashamed if you have to like take some time off. I know most grad programs really like pound the importance of self-care into you, but it really is so important because you can't fully be there for your client if you haven't helped yourself first. Number 4, and I feel like this one's pretty specific to my program, but there might be other programs out there that are structured similarly. So the reason why I chose the program I'm in is because it is a master's in counseling program, but it's also dually accredited in rehabilitation and mental health counseling and school counseling. A big plus of my program is that after graduation we will be eligible to go either direction. But unfortunately timing was not on my side in this case. For example, my school counseling practicum, which was my first practicum, I started that and then unfortunately COVID hit. So my time at the school counseling practicum got short. And then this semester is my mental health practicum, and I'm going to be able to finish that no problem. We've been holding sessions over Zoom and all of that. I honestly feel like I'm way more prepared to be a mental health counselor than I am a school counselor at this point in time, which makes sense because I've just like literally had more hours of practice doing it. Either way, I was going to get a taste of both sides. It just happens that right at this point in time, I feel much more experienced as a mental health counselor. But practicum is only 100 hours each for me, and then my school counseling internship will be 600 hours plus a little extra from what I didn't get to finish in spring. So I will have plenty of time to figure out the school counseling side. It's just right now I feel like I missed out on a lot of the experience that I could have gotten from practicum. Am I at number 5 now? I think I'm on number 5. Okay. We'll just go with it. Number 5 is make sure that you are aware of your social media presence. You should just be being careful what you post in general, but definitely be careful what you post publicly. When we want to know more about a person, we often look them up on social media. That's just how it works. So imagine you are working with a kid and they look you up, or even a parent is curious about you and they look you up. You want to make sure whatever you have publicly on there, you wouldn't mind them seeing. And you also want to keep in mind how it can be construed or how it can be taken. Let's say, for example, you're working with a young client on managing their anger, and then they go on your Facebook and see that you are engaged in an angry political rant or something. It kind of looks bad on you and makes you look a little hypocritical in the sense that you're trying to help them do a skill that you're still struggling with. Or if you're helping a client struggling with substance abuse and you are on your page frequently engaging in substance abuse and taking photos of it, I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do in your spare time, but just really be careful on what you put out there, and definitely what you put out there publicly, because chances are at least one of your clients or someone related to them will be seeing it. Number 6, once you start getting your own caseload of clients, you get a lot more freedom than I think you're probably anticipating. At least that was the case for me. In my first semester, we started out just doing mock counseling sessions with either classmates or professors, and those would usually last about 7 minutes. And then you automatically go to having your own caseload of 4 clients, and they're gonna be seen for an hour weekly, each of them. So 7 minutes feels really hard, and then it gets stretched to an hour. You're probably gonna be a little overwhelmed at first and think, oh my god, I have no idea what I'm doing. That's totally normal, and I would say reach out to your supervisors if you need support in that regard. But it will come to you very quickly. You will remember how to apply the knowledge that you learned in your classes and all of that, and you'll get to know your clients and build rapport with them, and it'll get easier as time goes on. With that said, moving on to number 7, and I've kind of alluded to this one earlier, but it really matters how you apply the knowledge in your classes. Don't get caught up like you were an undergrad, like trying to memorize certain things. That's great if you can, but if you're in a class, I would worry less about like memorizing little details and focusing more on how you can actually apply this knowledge with clients in a session. Number 8, if you're very sensitive to criticism, I wouldn't say that that's enough to like dissuade you from going into a counseling program, but that is definitely something you'll want to prepare for ahead of time and maybe work on. You're going to get a whole lot of feedback and constructive criticism from your professors when you're first practicing your counseling skills. And with something like counseling, the way you talk or the speed at which you talk, or if you use your hands too much when you talk like me, that's something that's going to come up. So everything is going to be looked at: your body language, your tone of voice, your facial expressions. I have a tendency to always smile even if I'm talking about something serious, and that's something I've really had to work on in the case of counseling, because sometimes there are deep, heavy topics that come up in a session, and obviously even if I'm nervous, I can't be smiling. So that's something to work on if you're a smiley person like me. But all in all, I just want to encourage you to know that constructive criticism isn't personal. They're just trying to make you the best counselor possible, so try to keep that in mind. Number 9 is it is a lot of work. I think most people know that going in. It's definitely not a continuation of undergrad by any means. It's a whole other level of work and getting experience, and it's a whole other style of learning in my opinion. And that leads me to my last point, number 10. It goes by so fast. I will be graduating in May if all goes well, and I remember sitting right in front of the same camera and just finishing up my first semester of counseling school. So it's pretty crazy how quickly it goes by and how much you're able to learn in such a short amount of time. So just make the best of it and enjoy it while you can. So those are the 10 things that I would say surprised me the most about being in a master's in counseling program. If you're currently in a counseling program, especially master's in counseling, feel free to add what you think surprised you below in the comment section, or let me know what your favorite piece of advice was in this video. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.